Okay, welcome to our showcase interview with radio DJ, TV presenter Arielle Free. Today we're chatting with Arielle about her career. She's an accomplished presenter. She can currently be seen hosting ITV weekend show Scrambled and presenting her weekly much-loved music show on Hoxton Radio every Thursday. She's presented live coverage from Tea in the Park for BBC Scotland and fronted shows Would You Rather, Feel Good Friday and Box Rated for 4 Music. A champion of new music, Arielle has covered summer festivals both in the UK and abroad for virtualfestivals.com. She's also compared on stage at Glastonbury, where she is returning this year. And best of all, introducing acts from Snoop Dogg to Elton John. Arielle, welcome.
Welcome. That was like This Is Your Life.
Wasn't
I was expecting the red book.
I should have brought one.
Oh, if only. That would have been like dream come true.
I'm no Michael Aspel. I'm no Michael Aspel, not yet. Anyway, listen, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Okay.
I want to start off from the beginning, way back when.
Yes.
So you're a trained ballerina and a professional dancer.
Yes.
So have you always had a musical soul? Has music always been in you?
Yeah, basically, I couldn't sing as a kid. I did like a couple of dance classes and I happened to be all right at it, and it seemed like a natural step for me because I love performing, kind of came out of the womb singing and dancing, shall we say, and being like the usual kind of bratty, kind of confident child. And yeah, so then I just like did these like couple of ballet classes that then turned into like a full-time dance school, and then came down to London to further my training, and then went on to like dance with loads of artists and like dance troupes and whatnot, Zoo Nation, things like that. And then that kind of sandwiched into presenting.
So do you find that background gave you real discipline?
Definitely. I think it gave me a good discipline. It gave me, well, because we had to be musical as well. It gave me, like, because my parents are very, like, musical. Like, I had a real mixed bag, like, growing up. So it's, like, Sex Pistols with, like, Lisa Stansfield and, like, Simply Red with, the Rolling Stones. But it definitely made me be disciplined. It helps me kind of, like, I think have a hard work ethic. Like I hate not being busy, and I think a lot of people suffer when you go from like being in college and being a freelancer and you know you're not quite full time yet. People can kind of just like, get into part-time jobs and not really like focus on what it is and just get into that routine. I think that's the thing that's always kind of driven me to keep going. That training, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So how did you first get into presenting? And were they always music related shows? What was your first gig?
I was backstage at Reading Festival. I was performing that year. It was like 2005. It was my first ever Glastonbury. I was dancing for Fatboy Slim at Glastonbury. That was my first ever Glastonbury. And that year I was part of a dance troupe called The Pleasurettes, which was like we were trying to do like a modern day version of Pan's People, so like cheesy kind of dancing along to like, because we were the resident dancers for Guilty Pleasures, which is like Summer Television, very big popular night. And then that summer we got to meet those people, so we were invited to those things, and I was choreographing for lots of indie bands. Was backstage at Reading, and someone was like, "Oh, you talk loads," and I was like, "Yeah, I've always thought about like I wanted to be in radio, so I've always like loved like Sarah Cox and Zoe Ball and all them. Like radio was always a big thing in my life, and then someone was like, "Oh, can you just like interview this band like on camera because we want to like make a little video for their website," and I did it and I was like, I like this, and then just kind of started. I got a job like doing backstage coverage for virtual festivals, and festivals have always been a big thing for me, and I was like, I really like this, and it gives me an outlet to it's always given me an outlet to it's the only thing that I've ever felt that I was good at in terms of like that is where my knowledge is. Like I was never going to be a mathematician or a kind of like, you know, an author or, you know, work in biochemistry and all that stuff, but music's one thing that I've always known about, and like it's just been a huge passion of mine, and it suddenly clicked that this was a nice outlet for me to kind of really indulge in that knowledge and passion
and play to your strengths as well.
And play to my strengths. And actually it's funny because it's like I never would have said that at 10 years old that I was going to be a presenter, but I think it fits perfectly for me and what I want to do and what I enjoy talking about.
Yeah, brilliant. So was it your love of new and undiscovered music then, would you say, that led you to radio? Because obviously that led you to festivals where you met people.
Yeah. I met a lot of like good, like new young artists. I was like, you know, I was in the indie boom years. I was still indie at heart. And like, you know, all about the bands. Like I really love the fact that I saw Arcade Fire when they were at Club Enemy on a Friday night once, and someone had just said to me, "You need to see this band," and that was like 10 years ago. So I've always liked the band element and guitars and that, but then I love things that make dance and it's beats. So yeah, new music for me is, I kind of like the challenge, and I like being the one to champion that new track. I love discovering a track that's something like, wow, this is great. And that's a bit of a buzz, and I love then sharing that with everyone and getting their opinion and seeing if they come in. And now it's crossed over like the more beat stuff, because like if I like a song, it gets like an honorary rave video on my Instagram, which everyone seems to really find hilarious, but it's like the most bizarre random thing ever. But I just love that kind of community that comes from that network of everyone going, oh, this is great, can you play that track? And that there's something about that being like finding your clan, I suppose.
And it's nice as well, I suppose, when people respond well to a track that you've selected or you're championing, because then it gives you like credibility as well. I mean, I'm talking in the early days, obviously now you're much more established, but that must have been a nice feeling as well. Do you feel that's a good way to get yourself known? Like, because you can't manufacture it, you have to just put out there what you love.
Oh, I will be honest, I'm quite strict. Like, I wouldn't just have someone on my radio show because they sent me something. I often get sent stuff, and I think we had this conversation recently where like someone had emailed me and were like, I've been listening to your Hot Summer Radio show and I actually really think you'll like this band, and they were called Bleaker, and they sent me a track called Highway. And the minute I play it, she nailed it. She knew what I liked. I liked guitars, I like a bit of grunge, and it had a great hook. And I was like, this is great, I love this.
And she'd listened to your show.
And they listened to my show, so they knew it was perfect for my show. You also get other people who'll just be like, here's a track, and it's like some weird, obscure folk track. I'm like, that's not going to be played in my show, because my show is getting people ready for like the weekend. It's a Thursday night, it's nearly the end of the working week. It's all about keeping that vibe up, and I just think it's kind of lazy journalism. So I am quite strict, and I'm like that with artists as well that I have on my show. And that's not to say I'm sorry, I just know what I like. If you've got a good hook, I'm always gonna like it. If you can get me dancing, then it's always going to be my show.
But also, I suppose as a presenter, if you want to carve out a niche for yourself, you have to have individuality. You can't be seen to be swayed by anybody, because otherwise you won't be taken seriously.
Yeah, and also, like, I've never been elitist about what kind of genre I like. If you listen to my show, it's always a real mixed bag, and that's what my tagline is: all the genres, all the vibes, all the bangers, because I want people to dance. I want to introduce them to art acts, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to play a grime track or I'm not going to play a house track because I like guitars and drums.
No, it'll be if that music you like it, you'll play it.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people will do what is the trendy thing at the time. So grime's in at the moment. I see a lot of girls championing grime, or a lot of guys championing grime, whereas like a year ago they were like,
wouldn't touch it with a barge pole.
Wouldn't have touched it with a barge pole. And I think people see right through that.
I think they do, actually, and I think you're right. And actually, I know somebody who was at the forefront of grime years and years and years ago, and she was saying herself, she's got all these artists that she's worked with for years that couldn't get a meeting. Now all of a sudden, people are falling over themselves. And these are the same people, as you say, a year ago weren't interested. So it's a fickle old industry, but that's where you have to stay true to yourself and keep legit, really, isn't it? All right. So, what's the best bit of advice you've ever been given about DJing and presenting?
Right. There's a few things. First of all, slow down. Because when I get really excitable, obviously I've got a Scottish accent, so that's like, some people are, know Scottish accent, some people don't, and I have a Glaswegian Scottish accent. I think more people are more familiar with the Edinburgh side, that we're kind of like Sean Connery, and I think Edith Bowman's like the Five Sides.
It's a bit softer than a Glaswegian accent.
And so my biggest advice everyone said to me was slow down. When I was so the advice I got for DJing was like, don't play for yourself, play for the room, and that's so true. But never take requests, because I've been so guilty. Like, if someone really wants to hear Justin Bieber, like, sorry, I'm like, okay, I'll play it. But if I hadn't put it in that point, it just sometimes it completely lose. So always play for the crowd, but know what you're gonna play before you play. And then the biggest advice that I got given when I was really young, I started presenting when I was like 23, 24, I think. I met this producer by chance at a house party, and she'd worked with people like Holly Willoughby and Ferdinand Dick and all that. And she was just like, don't be impatient to get your first job, because no one is ever going to give you a TV job until you're at least 27, because you do not have enough life experience before then. And I was like, yeah, that's really interesting.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. And actually, when I turned 27, that's when things really took off for me. Like, I put a lot of things in place and planted a lot of seeds, and like kind of got the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The foundations. And then 27 was the year when I started actually going like full time. I could give up my day job and that.
So what you would say, a bit of advice would be, look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Don't look for instant gratification or instant
and
success.
Never compare yourself to other people. I used to drive myself crazy going online and like, but that person's doing this job and that person's doing that job, and it's just like, there's nothing good comes out of that. If you focus on yourself, that's when good things happen, and also positive energy brings positive things.
Yeah, good quote. So what's the most memorable music-related incident of your career so far? And I know you're probably thinking there's a few X-rated stories there that you can't share with us.
Well, so good memories. Getting to introduce Missy at last year's festival was probably one of the biggest moments of my life, because I was working with like her MC, and we got like a whole crowd to do this like huge like Missy call and response thing, and it was just like everyone was so hyped for that gig. It was like a real buzz, and getting 50,000 people to do what you asked them to do is probably the closest I'd ever get to being a rock star. That was amazing, and she was a hero of mine. And I remember walking up the stage that morning at like 10 o'clock, getting ready to open the stage, and I was like, saw these amazing dancers, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. Her dancers are like, have been like a world renowned, and have been like throughout the years of her career. And then I just saw this like little lady in the like middle, she's like just grooving away and just singing. I was like. And then she told me my sequin hoodie was dope, so that was definitely a highlight. Bad moments was probably when a certain X Factor winner, quote unquote, asked me if I wanted to take some time out to keep the ginger gene alive and breed some babies.
Oh.
Nearly vomited in his face. And I've since then told everyone about that story because I want him to hang his head in shame for what he was like.
Quite right, name and shame.
Yeah.
All right, so what advice would you give subscribers of Music Match magazine on forging a career as a DJ or a presenter within the music industry? What would be your best bit of advice?
Know your stuff. 100%. If you're gonna I spend so many hours a week if I'm championing music, I need to really, really dive into that. And I spend so many hours a week trawling through blogs and websites and playlists and things like that, because it then makes my show best quality. Always be prepared. Don't go into a radio show without a script and having no idea what you're going to speak about, or having any information or any sort of subject or anecdotes, because that is the key. Preparation for me is always the key for radio. In terms of DJing, if you can't afford to get your own decks at home or practice, get a wee job at a pub and use the decks that they usually have in there. And also, I know this sounds ridiculous, but when I only started to properly DJ recently, and I was really trying to learn the tricks of the trade, and I was like, what does that one do and what does this one do? YouTube has so many videos on how to really perfect your DJing production and stuff. And it saves you so much money rather than having to spend a fortune doing it, going to a course and that. And that's not to say that you should shy away from those things, because all those things will only add up to what you've got. And make friends with people that you make friends with people who are in bands and other DJs, and don't pit yourself up against them, because essentially everyone's here to help each other.
Yeah, so create allies, not enemies.
Yeah,
perfect, great. Okay, so we're going to lighten it up now and say, what's your favourite track of all time? And it can be more than one. Now, this is a tough one, but...
Right. There's numerous ones. For me, Missy, I wasn't going to say Missy Elliott, but that obviously came out. Maybe that's something I should be saying. Okay, my favourite track of all time used to be... My phone. My favourite track used to be Cat Power is the Greatest. I love her. I love that album. I also used to love Karen of Me, Yeah Yeahs, and Maps is one of my favourite songs.
Great track.
From Yeah Yeahs. Rolling Stones' She's a Rainbow is one of my favourite tracks as well. Daft Punk. Which one? Not Around the World. I can't think. Any sort of Daft Punk track. I wanted to say Bowie, but it's cliche, but Bowie had a massive effect on me as a child, because my mum used to listen to him all the time, my dad as well, and I was heartbroken when he passed away, because I always thought I might get to see him live. For me, Suffragette City's always been one of those songs that's been there, and I love it, and I know it word for word, and it's kind of gone through from being a wee baby up to now. I want to say Maccabey's Toothpaste Kisses, because I love that track. And I don't know. There's one I want to say something that gets me dancing. What is guaranteed to get me dancing? Probably, I don't know. I'll come back to that one. Yeah.
All right. So who's on your radar at the moment? What new bands are really rocking your world?
Right. I absolutely love this band called Pretty Vicious. They're really young. I got to see them at Dingwalls earlier in the year. They just have all sorts of element of punk and edginess to them, and I think they at the moment you're not really seeing bands that have come from those elements that give them that raw edge. It's they've learned the instruments in school and things like that, and it's not really kind of doing that whole Oasis thing where they've sat in and just jammed together and not without so they've got this real raw punky edge to them. I love them. Really, really adore anything that Casey Lights is doing at the moment. He's a new DJ kind of come out of Scotland. He dropped a track last year called No No No, which is awesome. He just dropped a new track called Temptation, which is unbelievable, and really reminds me of that Elias Variantas and all those kind of people. And who else? Because who else I've been playing on my show? Oh, Sunflower Bean from Brooklyn. Awesome band, great tracks. And a track that I cannot get enough of at the moment is Kadeko and George Qualley, Crank It is an absolute banger.
Oh, there we go. So some top tips. So you're hosting the West Holt stage at Glastonbury again this year.
Yes.
Describe a typical Glastonbury weekend for you when you're working.
So I usually, there's 2 of us at Company Stage because it's like a 16-hour day on the West Holt stage because we open up quite early, about 10. And then the last band should have finished by midnight, but if you're George Clinton, the Family Stone, it's 2:10. But you can't obviously stop legends like that, like from continuum, and that's what I love about Glastonbury. Like they'll let those things happen. So yeah, typical day is I'll either do the full day presenting or I'll do a half day, and then the other guy comes over, Swiss Tony, he's great. And it's a case of getting there, opening a stage. On the West Coast, they have a signing stage next to it, so you really get that opportunity to meet those legends. So like last year we had people like FK Twigs, you had the Family Stone, George Clinton, who else we had, who's the guy that's on, he's in the amazing Disclosure track? Gregory Porter, he's back again this year. I'm not allowed to say he's on the stage this year, but I sent the lineup and it is awesome. Our Sunday night headliner, I think, he's probably going to be more popular than the Muse headline in the main stage.
Do you think? Wow.
Yeah, I think it's like the perfect way to finish Glastonbury weekend. But essentially, my job is there to get the bands on, introduce to people who, if they might not know those acts, or and then once they're finished, direct them to the signing tent. Also, any sort of information that we've got going on in terms of like if this, like the bar has been closed, or if like there's some tent you can't get to because of mud, and like it's all about information. And also, most importantly, getting everyone hyped. So right now I've got 15 minutes. Before Hot Chip are coming up, I'm going to go on there, get everyone hyped, get them like excited. This is meant to be the best weekend of their life, and if I can add to that opportunity, then I'm going to help as much as I can.
And do you feed off the energy? Like when the crowd are going for it, it just keeps you going. Yeah.
I will never forget the first time at Camp Festival, because I get to do the main stage from there, which is obviously a family festival. And it was the Sunday, and and the night before Madness had played, and I just thought it was a wonderful moment of seeing like all these like dads just loving like the real kind of like Madness vibes, and the mums and that, and all these kids just like lying in these little trolleys that they have for them so they don't get stamped on. And when I came on stage, it sounded a little bit croaky because I've been like screaming down the microphone all weekend, and I remember making a joke about like, you know, how many dads are pretty much horizontal today because they were too busy raving away to Madness last night, and like everyone burst out laughing. I was like, this is quite fun. People actually think it's funny. And then I made another joke about like how many kids were high on E-numbers last night after too many jelly beans, and again they laughed. And I was like, I'm really good at this. This is brilliant. But no, it's great.
It's just encouraging. It keeps you going. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you get to do so many exciting things. Like they have the fancy dress competition at festival, and like you have to like judge who out of like 70,000 people or whatever has the best fancy dress, and then get them on stage and do this like calamity of like giving out awards and like medals, and it's very much like it's like the adrenaline like rushes, and it's like, yeah, even though it's only a weekend's work, it feels like it's almost been like a year's work because of the amount of energy
with the amount of energy you expel.
But like even at the end of the day, if I finish like after the last act's been on at like 11, and sometimes you have to close the stage, sometimes you just let the last act go on and that's it. And like once that's done, like even then, like you think you'd be knackered, and it's like, nope, I am going out raving, and I'm going to that tent.
You've had too much fun.
Because the adrenaline just goes through your body, and then it gets like 3 o'clock. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. And then I have to get up at 9. I'm like, sunglasses on. Yeah,
brilliant. Good. Well, listen. The last question is, what is next for Arielle Free?
I wish I knew. I'm just about to go and do some stuff for BBC Introducing Scotland, which is amazing. I'm really excited about that. And obviously, it's quite nice to like champion new music, but also quite nice to champion new music from my hometown in Glasgow and obviously Scotland. So that seems like a nice little step. Summer festivals, as always. Scrambled has got a double series this time. So we used to just do from January till April. Now we're going to be starting again, going into production in August. So I'm going to have to like be filming that in between running around fields at the weekend as well. So that August until the following April. So it's really nice like to have a contract throughout until 2017.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like I miss being on radio every day, so I'm hoping that I can get back to doing radio Monday to Friday.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. Well, listen, thank you so much for chatting with us today. If you want to know more about Arielle and keep up to date on all her latest news, follow her on Twitter at Arielle Free.
How do you spell it?
ARIELLEFREE.
Woo!
Woohoo! Got it right. Thank you so much.
How many E's?
Cheers, thank you.